everyone. Can I please have your attention? Okay, so I'm gonna just introduce ourselves real quick. This is Maha, my name is Vani, this is Katie, and this is Sarah. So you might know that we're doing a STEAM project, and our STEAM project is about air quality. How many of you know what air quality is? Raise your hands. Or air pollution? Air pollution? Okay, put your hands down now. So we're doing a project on air pollution and spreading awareness about air quality, because some of you guys know that when you go outside, the air is kind of dirty, right? Sometimes, yeah, there's smoke in the air, and when you're driving on the highway, you can see all that smoke coming up from factories and stuff. No? You don't? Okay. Okay, so when you guys get older, you might know more about this. So we're gonna start educating you about air quality from now. So we have two guest speakers. One's name is Ms. Dunkley, and the other is Mr. Corwin. And they're gonna be talking to you about air quality today. They're here from the State Environmental Protection Division, and they're gonna give you guys a presentation about air quality. So let's be on our best behavior, guys.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try that one more time. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, I love it. Excellent. Are you wide awake this morning? Yes. That's awesome. No. Well, your teachers are. I can see from their faces. They're excited. Well, we're excited to be here this morning. My name is Mrs. Dunkley. I work for the state of Georgia, the Environmental Protection Division. My official title, if you have to put a title on me, is I'm the Deputy State Climatologist, which means I do both air quality and I work with the weather. I'm a meteorologist, and I also work at night. So it's just, I understand. A lot of people say, what is air quality? I know what air pollution is, but I don't know what air quality is. Well, that's what we're going to tell you today really, really quickly. We're not going to keep you long, okay? So, my first question, who cares about the air? I mean, excellent. Nobody cares about air quality. Let me show you why air quality is important. Can I show you? I want you to do something for me this morning. We're going to do a little experiment. So, I'm going to have you, first of all, raise your right hand quietly. And then we're going to do a test to see how long you can hold your breath. Okay, so what we're going to do, when I say go, you're going to take a big, deep breath, and you're going to hold it. When you can't hold it anymore, and it's just too hard, you feel like you're going to explode, then I want you to drop your hand down and say, I'm done. The person whose hand is raised at the end is going to get a little treat. Oh.
From the front.
Okay? I just want to say, you have a question already? Yes. If you turn blue, please put your hand down and open your mouth. Matter of fact, don't even play if you feel like you're turning blue, okay? All right, so here we go. Everyone raise their right hand. Don't be scared, okay? Now you can't laugh, because that'll make you just go. You're not going to be able to hold your breath after you do that, okay? All right, so take a deep breath. On the count of 3 is when I want you to just hold your breath. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm counting how long you can hold it. Remember, when you can't hold it anymore, drop your hand. Wow. This is a strong group. See some shades of blue? Please drop your hand. That's you. Wow. We still have almost half of you holding your breath. Hopefully some of you are not lying to me. Okay. We are at a minute so far. Wow. Wow. 1 minute and 30 seconds so far. Some of you are swimmers, I can tell. 1 minute 45. If your hand is down, shh. If your hand is down, shh. You don't want to make those lose focus whose hands are still up. Approaching 2 minutes of holding their breath. Keep your hand high if you're still holding it, so I can see you. Now some of you took a new breath and raised your hand again. Can't do that. We are at 2 minutes. We're getting there, we're getting there. Two and a half minutes? The record in my class was 3.5. Let's see. I saw that coming. I could see it on your face. I saw it. I saw it. Remember, if you are feeling lightheaded or turning blue, please let your air out and put your hand down. All right, now we're approaching 3 minutes, and I'm going to relieve some of you in a second.
Yeah, I think so.
See, about 15 hands. Are you really still holding your breath? I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. All right, everyone put your hand down. We'll try again here. Everyone put your hand down for me. Excellent job. Woo, excellent job. Now, shh, let me tell you this. Shh. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. I need you quiet. 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 Why in the world would you not want to know about something that you can only live 3 minutes without? How is it not important? When you can only live 3 minutes without it, why wouldn't you want to know about air? That's why it's more important than water. It's more important than land. You can only live 3 minutes without air, maybe 4 if your lungs are strong. Why wouldn't you want to know about it? It's that important. That's why we teach about air, because you need it. Why else do you need to know about air? It can affect your health. I heard some of you kind of coughing, like something was in your throat or in your lungs. Raise your hand if you have asthma, if anyone knows what asthma is. How many of you have asthma? Do you know that air quality, if it's not good, can mess with your asthma, where you feel like you're coughing all the time and you just feel sick and tired? When the air is bad, that's what it can do to your health. And then guess what? You could be affecting it. When you drive, I drive about an hour. I used to drive an hour a day to take my kids to school. They went to a school in Coweta, and I live in Henry County. It was an hour away I drove. Do you know how much I was messing up the environment? I'll admit to you now, because they don't go there anymore. I'll admit to you, but when you drive, you can be affecting the environment too. That's why all of these things are important. That's why we do air quality. Why else will we have a whole department of air quality? And I'm going to answer all these questions, awesome questions, when I get to the end, okay? Just a few more. So what is air pollution? Someone raise your hand. Anyone. And I'm going to call on someone to tell me, if you had to define or give a definition to air quality or air pollution, what would you say air pollution is?
Air pollution is when bad smoke gets in the air and it affects the air.
I couldn't have said it better myself. When you have a lot of stuff, it could be natural things that come from trees. It could come from forest. Or it could come from your car. It doesn't matter whether it's natural or whether someone made it. When that gets into the air in a lot of amount, in a big level, it can really mess up our air. That's what air pollution is. And do you know what we call outdoor air pollution? And then we have air pollution right here in your school. It's not bad though, I promise you it's not. My job is to deal with the air pollution out there. There are some people, their whole job is to deal with inside air pollution. I deal with air pollution. What happens in the sky outside? What happens when you wake up in the morning and you see over Atlanta? You ever notice Atlanta looks kind of brown sometimes in the morning? And you're thinking, why is Atlanta brown? I know the sky is not brown. Guess what? It's air pollution. Sitting right over our city. What kind? We have all kinds of air pollution. And these are kind of the fancy scientific names for it. But I'm going to just focus in on two of them. We have ozone. We have what's called particulate matter, carbon monoxide coming from your cars, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, lead. All these things sound fancy. They're all chemicals that mess with your air. Guess which one is the biggest issue we have here in Atlanta? Which one do you think is our biggest issue?
Carbon monoxide.
Ooh, good try. Excellent, excellent, excellent try. Which one do you think is the biggest issue?
I think it's the ozone.
Oh. Do you know our biggest issue here in Atlanta is ozone? That's our biggest issue. That and what's called particulate matter. That's that really tiny stuff that's even smaller than your hair. It's so thin that you can't even see it unless it's a large amount. That stuff gets in your nose. It gets in your lungs. But our biggest issues right here in Georgia are ozone. What's ozone? It's like floating O's in the atmosphere. You can picture a bunch of O's in the air. Now, what other O's are in the air that we like? What O is in the air?
Oxygen.
Awesome. Oxygen is great. We need it. You needed it a few minutes ago. But when you add one more oxygen molecule, one more O to that, it turns into a monster called ozone. Now, ozone way up in the sky is excellent. If you travel about 5 miles up into the atmosphere, you'd see a whole lot of ozone in a place living in a city called the stratosphere. Anyone heard of the stratosphere? It's a city or level of the atmosphere that's way up in the atmosphere, about 5 miles up. Ozone that lives up there, we love it. It's awesome. It keeps the sun from shining too hard. It keeps the rays from coming down and burning our faces. We love ozone up there. Ozone down here is the bad one. That's the stuff that gets in your lungs. And how do you create it? You take a recipe of car exhaust, add some other stuff called these volatile compounds, stick it in the sunlight, and out pops ozone. Horrible stuff we have here in Atlanta. It comes out of your cars, it comes out of factories. When that builds up, especially during the summertime, that's when you see that smog sitting over the city. If you've ever flown into a place called Los Angeles, anyone flown into Los Angeles ever? I flew into Los Angeles one time. Do you know we couldn't even see the airport? It was so brown as we were landing. And we said, what is that? People on the plane were like, why can't we see out in the sky? Why can't we see? In my head, I knew that's smog. Anyone know what that word smog? It combines 2 words. Anyone know what 2 words that combines? You know?
Smoke and fog.
Oh, I love it. You all are such an intelligent group. Smoke and fog, which we get from long ago in London. They had a big fog event, and they saw some smoke, and that's how we created that word smog. So when you see brown stuff in the sky in the morning, tell your parents, oh, I know what that is. That's smog. That's ozone. Your parents are going to say, well, how do I know if there's going to be ozone tomorrow? Because of what I do. What I do and what Mr. Helm does, and he's going to show you in a second. We forecast what tomorrow's air quality is going to be like. Anyone ever see on the highway what are called those smog alerts? They're kind of blinking and say, code orange, don't go outside today. I issue those. He issues those. We tell people, if your health is bad and you have asthma, you might not want to go outside today. We issue a smog alert. How do we know what it's going to be like? Because we're weather people too. And did you know weather affects the air? So let me show you the difference between a bad air quality day and a good one. Usually, a day like this, you're like, oh, it's beautiful outside. The sun is shining. It's a perfect day. But to me, I'm thinking, uh-oh, how's our air quality going to be today? Because all you need for a bad ozone day is a lot of sunshine some really hot temperatures. Those are the biggest things you need. Really dry air. When you have that, now why wouldn't I have that today? It's sunny, it's dry. What ingredient am I missing to make this a really smoggy day?
Hot.
Oh, amazing. I'm missing the hot temperatures. That's why during the wintertime, we don't have a lot of smog, because we're missing that hot stuff. During the summertime is what we call ozone season. That's when we get the biggest smoggy days, because it's 90 degrees, it's 95 degrees, it's 100 degrees. Perfect weather for smog. Right now, it's about 55, 60 degrees outside. You won't have to worry about that now. However, if it's a rainy day, the days where you don't feel like going outside, I love rainy days. Why? Because I know it's going to clear out the air, and we won't have any air quality days. That's how I know what tomorrow's going to be like. So once I figure out, okay, what's the weather going to be like? Then I stick it on this little graph called an index. I stick a color to it. The colors that are up top are the better colors. If it's green or yellow, that's my way of saying, it's going to be great tomorrow. No worries. You'll be fine. You can stay inside or stay outside. Enjoy yourself. When the higher we go on this little ruler, that means the air quality is worse. So when we get to this color orange, that's when orange says, uh-oh. That's when you see us issue that smog alert on the highway. That means if you have asthma, or if you're really, really young or small, or if you're really, really older, you might want to stay inside today, because the air quality can kind of mess with you. Rarely do we ever get up to these red and dark purple. Sometimes we have. Sometimes we've gotten really, really dark and really, really purple. Most of the time we don't, which we're glad about. But this is my job, this is Mr. Helm's job, to issue these air quality forecasts. What do? We stick it out there, we say, here's what it's going to be for Georgia. We stick it on this website called Air Now, and it tells us all across the U.S. You see right here? Someone tell me right here, how's the air quality right there in Texas? Anyone know? What's it like?
Not that good?
It's not that good. Excellent. How'd you know that?
Because it's orange.
All you saw was the color. Even if you know nothing about air quality, when you look at this map, just look for the color. The darker the colors, the worse the air quality. So all these other areas where you don't see anything, what do you think that means? It's fine. Everything's good. So your teachers, I'm going to send them a website where they can show you what the air quality is every day and see what it is for Georgia. This is an old one. Now, how do we know what the weather's going to be like? We measure it. And that's where I'm going to bring in another coworker of mine, Mr. Helm. He's an environmental specialist. And do you know what his job is? His job is to measure stuff. He brought something for you this morning. He brought a little gift for you. Corey,
I got a big surprise.
He has a big surprise for you. To show you now, how do we issue these forecasts? What do we look at? What do we do across the whole state of Georgia? He's going to show you something really neat. Here you go, Corey.
All right, let me go get the big surprise. I mean, this is really big. Here, Nyasha, can you hold this for a second? Sure. I gotta go get it.
You need any helpers?
No, I think I'll be okay.
He needs one helper. He needs one helper. He needs one. Come on. Come on. That's him carry it. He needs one helper to help him carry that bucket right there. Excellent. There's one more little bucket there.
Alrighty, how's everybody doing today? Oh, I can't hear you now. Scream it out loud. How y'all doing today? Alright. Well, like Nyasha said, I am a field meteorologist. I go out all over to the different sites and monitor our meteorological equipment, which is basically a fancy word for technically a weather person. So let me start out by saying what this thing is. This thing I call the magic box. Anybody know why I call it the magic box? Yeah, exactly. Nobody really knows how it works. You just take it out of the box, hook it up, and it measures wind speed and wind direction. But in hindsight, what it really measures is it takes the speed of sound, which you know by the projection of my voice, from me to you, the speed of sound from this probe to that probe, and it converts the energy over to wind speed. I know that sounds complicated, but in another, I would say, 10 to 11 years, you should get the gist of it. Took me a while to really understand it too. But that's basically what this is. We call it an ultrasonic anemometer, which is basically what I said, measures wind speed and wind direction. Now, this is a new and improved aspirated shield. And inside this aspirated shield is our temperature sensor. Now, this ain't any ordinary temperature sensor. It measures relative humidity at the same time as temperature. So it's basically like a fancy thermometer. And the thing about this thing is it's kind of more accurate than an actual thermometer would be. Because you think about an actual thermometer, the old ones had mercury in it. And it was very long, up and down, and you basically put it outside, and with the sun and everything like that, it heats it up. That's how you get your temperature. But with this thing, it has a fan. This fan brings the air in from below, and it circulates it. That takes away the sun's rays and also the wind. Because when you get wind involved, that changes your temperature either from going up or going down at a dramatic rate. So with those aspects, we call it ambient temperature, which is a little bit different than your actual outside total temperature, which takes the effect of the sun's rays and also the wind speed. Now, this little box here, we call that the barometric pressure sensor. This thing tells us whether outside conditions are either high pressure or low pressure. Let me all ask you a question. Do you think this is a high pressure day or a low pressure day?
Low.
Man. Well, kind of you're both all right. We're kind of in between systems right now, so we're kind of neutral. But a couple days ago, when that cold front came swept through, and all of our temperatures went just straight down. We were in the 70s, and all of a sudden, bam, went down in the 40s. That was more or less going from a high pressure situation all the way down to a low pressure situation. So that's what basically this thing measures right here. Now, this thing is my favorite instrument. You want to know why it's my favorite instrument? It looks like a drum, and if you flip it upside down, you can probably, drum away and everything, get a little beat together. Yes, it's a weather instrument, but what I like about it is you open it up, and you never know what you'll find inside. This thing is like a spider hotel. You find all kinds of bugs in this thing, and what it actually does, it measures rainfall rates. How much water we have gotten in the past couple days to a couple weeks to a couple of months. We call it a tipping bucket. Yes, you have a question? Exactly. It's a special kind of rain gauge where I don't have to be everywhere to actually look at it, and I don't have to dump the water out of it. It dumps itself out of it. It's kind of like a tipping mechanism. Yeah, exactly. An automatic tipping bucket where the water flows down into the funnel and it collects. There's two sides to this tipping mechanism. And this tipping mechanism goes up and it goes down. Once the water flows down into the funnel, it releases. and it collects in the little tipping mechanism, and once that tipping mechanism gets around 0.01 inches of rain, it'll tip. And when it tips, it hits the probe, and that probe sends an electrical signal to the data logger, in which I did not bring a data logger, but what a data logger looks like is it's a big box thing that stores all of our data from all of our meteorological instruments and also our environmental instruments as well. Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
Yes, when you said it's like a spider hotel, do you mean literally that there are presently living creatures inside it?
Yeah, most of the time when I have to go in there and clean it, like if we get a big dry spell with no rain or anything, dust will frequently collect in there. So I open this thing up right here, it floats right up. And what you see inside is just a hollow barrier where things will collect, all kinds of bugs, mosquitoes.
Bugs were in there right now.
No, I cleaned it out before I came today to make sure there wasn't nothing in there. But occasionally, occasionally we get birds that will nest on top of this thing too. So this thing houses many homes to many different animals, which is pretty cool.
Next time, put it on your roof.
Yeah, exactly.
See what it'll collect.
Yep, all kinds of stuff. Yes, ma'am. You know what? I have seen geckos kind of, especially on the funnel here, they will crawl and they will just lay there and kind of sunbathe for the time being. Yeah, they'll just lay here inside the funnel there and to, warm up and get some sun on them. But they quickly crawl away after a while. You know what? I haven't seen any squirrel nuts in the funnel actually because the funnel hole is so small there that it won't really go down in there. But I wouldn't put it past the squirrels to go in there, put their nuts and store them for the winter, come back and, eat them up and everything.
Don't put free nut storage on.
What we're going to do, I see a lot of you have questions about it. We're going to try and schedule a time where you all can come out to one of our sites and visit. We have a site right in South DeKalb that has every instrument you can imagine, plus the ones that measure air pollution. We have a whole place out there that people come out to visit. So we'll talk to your teachers and leaders, and maybe we can schedule a time to do that. I know you all have to go to other classes this morning, but we wanted to show one more thing, the solar sensors, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right, I have a quick question for you all. What do you think this thing looks like?
Saucer. Alien ship.
You're all right. It does look like I consider it a UFO. Because you got the round little glass ball on top, as well as that shield around it to block the ground.
And then there's a gun underneath.
Yeah, that is where the electrical port goes. That's where you hook it up, and it hooks up right to the data log.
Your electrical beams to defend yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what this thing is it measures shortwave radiation, which is basically a fancy word for the sun's energy. So when the sun is out, there's no clouds in the sky to speak of. The sun's rays shine right down on this instrument, and it measures how much energy that the sun is giving out for that day. And we use that for modeling purposes. Our modeling crew at the office actually takes all of the data from what this thing collects and kind of correlates it back to ozone and PM concentration. And that's basically what this thing does over here too. It does something a little bit different. It measures a certain kind of shortwave radiation, the ultraviolet rays, which is, when you look at graphs and stuff, it's about the same thing as what this thing is. But we use it as a backup, just to kind of see what UVA, UVB rays reach the surface here, which can be damaging to your skin. That's why we wear sunscreen, which is very important. I hope all of y'all wear sunscreen. Do y'all wear sunscreen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunscreen doesn't work for me.
I know sometimes sunscreen don't work for me either, but it's very important because, you know, there's been tests and studies done that if you know, don't wear it, you may have a higher probability of getting skin cancer, which that is very painful. We don't want skin
My
cancer.
mom had skin cancer.
Yes. And it's very painful and it can be deadly at the same time. So that's why it's very important to wear sunscreen, and that's why this instrument is so important as well to our modeling purposes. Thank you.
Let's end with some good news. Can I give you some good news before we leave? Here's the good news. Is air quality getting better in Atlanta? Actually, yeah. We're excited. That means we're doing our job. That means the government's doing their job, trying to make sure all the companies only give off as much pollution as needed, called emissions, making sure our cars are made better so they don't give off too much stuff. I think we're doing a pretty good job so far. So much so that all the stuff coming out of our cars and factories, those emissions are actually going down. So we are excited about that. You all are so awesome. We can take about 5 questions, and I believe our time will be up. All right, let's start over here, and then we'll go this way and get about 5 quick. Yes, ma'am.
Back to the instrument that Derek told one. How do you tell how much it is? Is there a scanner or something?
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Yes. Well, I didn't get to bring the data logger with me, but there's a program that we have, and it shows numbers, like cardinal directions. So, for instance, if I want to say today the wind is blowing, let's just say 90 degrees, we would say consider that as an easterly wind. 90 degrees means if you draw a 90-degree angle straight up and down, you would head towards the east. That's how we kind of figure out what this thing is measuring.
But how does it connect? How is it connected?
Oh, connection. It connects to this long wire here. And this long wire is connected to the data logger. And it takes electric signals that these probes produce and converts it over to wind speed and wind direction.
I also have another one.
Yes.
You only talked about 2 of those in this 3.
Yes. The other third probe that I forgot to mention, this thing also measures temperature. And sometimes that temperature parameter is used to convert it over to wind speed and wind direction. It uses it as kind of like as an advantage a little bit.
And even though this is on the ground, usually this is way up in the sky. So if you went to our actual site, this instrument would be stretched way up high, way above the ground to actually catch the wind. If the wind were down here, why couldn't we put it this far down? What would be the problem if we had it close to the ground?
It'd blow over itself.
It'd blow over, trees would obstruct the wind, so we have to put it really high up to make sure that it gets the right readings. Let me get 2 more questions. Yes. Put it right in your mouth.
My grandma is allergic to sun, so I don't know if she could really get the ozone in her because she can't really get into the sun.
That's got to be tough for grandma, huh? That's got to be really tough. And some people really are sensitive to the ozone. I had a lady call me when there were the smoke. Remember the wildfires last November where it was just burning everywhere up in North Georgia, North Carolina? I had a lady call me. She was 76 years old. And she called my office. She said, I just want to know if I can go outside. I can't even see outside. That's how bad the smoke had gotten up in North Georgia, North Carolina, and other areas. Let me grab someone I haven't got really quick.
Well, how much percent of the air is made of nitrogen?
I'm going to let you all answer that. That's an excellent question. That's a test question I give my students. What percentage of the atmosphere is made of nitrogen?
86%. 29.
86, 29. Let's bring down a little bit.
78. 50.
Does any science teacher want to answer that? Oh, I heard closer to 70 something, 78.
72.
roughly.
72.
All right, so I'm going to give you an answer. Shh, I'm going to give you an answer. Here's my answer. I'm going to let you look it up. No, it's around 78%. 78% roughly is nitrogen, around 21% is oxygen. Then you have a lot of little tiny gases we call trace gases that make it less. Yes, sir?
How does it help with the environment?
Oh, that's an awesome. How does this machine help, or how does what help?
The tall thing?
The tall thing. You know what this helps us do? This helps us tell you what it's going to be like tomorrow. Is it safe to go outside? We can figure it out when we get all the instrument readings from this tall thing right here. So this thing is wonderful. It's expensive and it's wonderful. It helps us to tell you if it's safe to go outside. We just want to help everyone know, is it safe? And we want to help you prepare. Let me get a few more questions over here.
What are the top thingies for? Like those top thingies? And can that measure the speed of light, the big one?
Where you want to do that? He said, can it measure the speed of light, and what's the little probes at the top?
Basically, these top probes do the same thing as the bottom probes. It's basically for better accuracy, especially if the wind speed is so low you can't even feel it. But this thing will actually measure it. It'll measure it under 1 meter per second, which is pretty accurate compared to like your regular very old wind vane. Because the wind vane goes off of a threshold of more than 1 meter per second. So if you go below this thing will measure it, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. I know we have a ton of questions, so what we're going to do, Corey and I are going to leave our business card with your teachers. You are free to email us anytime, call us anytime, and we will answer your question as quickly as possible and as clear as possible. We appreciate you all inviting us today. Thank you so much for having us.